I think in the next 3 to 5 years, it's hard to tell exactly how far it's going to get, right? So, and let me give you an example. We started this conversation in the beginning about, sentience or general AI awareness. We don't know when that's going to happen. The models predict, and some people are like, oh, it'll happen in 3 to 5 years. But I mean, economists are all the time wrong, right? So we don't know if there's going to be some kind of technology impediment that comes up that just all of a sudden slows things way down. Again, we thought in the 90s you would just be buying everything off the internet and living on it by the year 2000. And that obviously didn't happen. It took another 10, 20 years in order for that to happen. Matter of fact, probably took COVID, where people couldn't go out, couldn't go to the store, to really accelerate that process and be like, how can I leverage Amazon and Walmart and all these other tools and places to get that stuff, right? So again, we're at the top of the hype cycle, so we don't know exactly what AI is going to do over the next 3 to 5 years. However, we do know it's going to keep evolving and keep moving forward and keep being more of a business. Where I see it going, and I even see Vertical 6 as a company doing this, is that we're going to become more of a business consulting company where it's like, how do I leverage AI to create an ROI, to create a more productive workplace, to save on future headcount, to do all of these things to improve the customer experience, to improve the employee experience, so that I don't get stuck in drudgery. Like, can I get some tool to help get me out of the stuff that just consumes my life? I become more of a high level decision maker than a low level, let me write this document myself. I just put say some basic ideas, I have a conversation with AI, it creates it, I proof it, and then I send it out to the world. So I really do think, when you look at it, the other thing too is the agentic piece of it we mentioned, right? Operator by OpenAI, and there's other tools too, like Gemini by Google, where they're going to have the ability to automate workflows, and some of that exists today, but it's still early days, and it's really targeted at marketing right now. Like, how do I scrape a website and get leads and names and take that and process the information and run it through, LinkedIn and do all that stuff. So it's not a customer facing process. It's more of a back end marketing automation process, right? Where the level of risk is lower. It's not saying, when an email comes in from Carla, answer it, right? Like, I'm not telling it to do something that, like, I don't, it might do something crazy. Like, you don't know. Like, if it does something crazy on the marketing automation end, you're probably going to catch it and be like, okay, that's not working. Let's change it and do all that stuff. I do see it, doing a lot of work in knowledge fields. Like, if you have a company that you're selling knowledge or research, it's going to be huge because it'll help find information, it'll help do all that, it'll help automate all those workflows. When you look at the legal industry, we've already seen cases where it created case law that doesn't exist. These are the early days, it's learning to walk days, right? That's going to go away in the future. I do think a lot of repetitive jobs, anything that can be easily automated, that's repetitive, is the low-hanging fruit, as well as taking people that are very expensive and enabling them to do more. So a high-end lawyer that bills a gazillion dollars an hour, right? If you can provide them with tools to shorten their caseload research, it's going to save the customer money, it's going to save the law firm money. In the short term, it might even boost profits because you could say that, well, it would have taken me an hour to do it this way, but AI took 15 minutes, and I'm going to make that extra money because I'm using AI to do it, right? But eventually, as we all know, that competitive advantage will collapse as AI gets more and more prolific and does more and more things. So that said, there's a lot coming. I think it's gonna be game changing for the rest of us. When I look out, 20 years into the future, it's going to be a very different world than it is today. Today we're hyper connected. Like, let's go back 20 years, right? So if I look at, or 25 years, let's say 2000. In 2000, I had a BlackBerry, I had a pager, I had a Motorola StarTAC. I had three devices I was carrying around. When you used the internet, it was half reliable, half not. Email got there when it got there. Like, for example, when you sent an email, it would go to a store and forward service. It would dial up and then send it. A few hours later, the email would actually show up at the destination. These days, it doesn't show up in 3 seconds. You're like, where is it? What's broken? So it's going to get to the point where, today you're learning how to use it, seeing its capabilities, but then in 20 years, it's just going to be you're going to depend on it, just like you depend on your iPhone. Like, my iPhone does everything. It's a pager, it's a phone, it's a BlackBerry. It does all this stuff that, 25 years ago took three devices. Now it takes one device, and who knows what that device is going to look like in 20 years. It might be a chip. It might be a pair of glasses. It's probably a couple of different devices interconnected that help you make things happen. So there's a lot going on, and I think it's only going to get more and more crazy as time changes. And I don't think in some ways we can't anticipate what's going to happen. In other ways we can. So
There is
um,
definitely a lot going on. A lot going
yeah,
on.
hopefully it
And
won't be like become our best friend and we end up all sitting at home talking to computers all the time. So we'll see.
no, you have provided some fantastic insights this morning. Lots of stuff. I know we went through a kind of a number of topics. Any closing thoughts before we let our audience go?
Yeah, I would say that, this is an exciting time for technology, just like it was in the past, and I'm sure it will be in the future with the next big thing. But the AI is important as the internet, maybe even more important as we move forward, as it starts to become more refined. But I would say that the place to start, putting policy in place, training your people, protecting your corporate information, and then starting to put together a plan of how can I use AI? Where does it make sense in the business? Where can I leverage it for the maximum return and safety? And then start to move down that road iteratively, right? There's no magic wins here. It's really about, taking a step and another step. Then you start to learn to jog, then you start to learn to run. Like we're all in that, just taking a few steps right now. And it's exciting to see where the future goes. But I wouldn't be afraid of it. And, take some time to learn how to use it and even with its capabilities today, it's still life changing. Like I can take a PowerPoint deck and a script that I wrote, combine them together, and it takes 10 minutes versus 2 hours. So there's already, game changing technology there.